Gear, progression and loot. I feel that this is the biggest thing that fans of Anthem want to see out of the game right now. How we can customize our javelins, both how it looks and also the weapons, abilities, the gear, how it all coincides and works together. That's the thing that strings this game up. Over the last couple of weeks, we got a lot of information, predominantly out of Ben Irving on the matter, so today we're going to go over a lot of tweets and information about weapons, the forge, loadouts, abilities, stats, perks, talents, the lot. My name is Ryan Central, and we'll start with the main news actually before we go into all of the weapons detail of stuff that's come out recently. First, the picture from the thumbnail comes from this tweet of Michael Gamble showing off a Mass Effect inspired skin with the N7 logo and design. This is something that we've spoken about previously of different skins based on other BioWare franchises. And also a lot of talk of whether Mass Effect is in the same universe as Anthem. But any luck of the customized javelins, I'm down for because they always look amazing. And next up, we have a bit more confirmation that there will be another stream next week, or at least hopefully, as Ben Irving is saying, and as you can see on screen. Not confirmed, but considering he replied to us last time saying 1 or 2 weeks, and it's been a week since, I think there's a good chance of us seeing some stuff next week. However, on the subject of what we want to see next, the same stuff comes up time and time again. How you customize and equip abilities in your javelin, the gear, the weapons, how effectively all of the game strings together, because you do the missions, the story, the strongholds, all of this other stuff to gain loot and to make your javelins better, stronger, and most importantly better looking, right? The forge is a key factor in Anthem that we don't have an awful lot of information about. For those that are unsure, it's effectively this from the stronghold gameplay, being sat in your javelin, picking your missions, deciding what you want to do, picking your difficulty as you're seeing at the bottom, but also it's where you equip certain bits of gear and also change out your javelin. You can't change abilities or weapons out in the open, you have to do it all from the forge, which is in your Strider or in Fort Tarsis. Well, in several questions, Ben Irving says in the interest of time we don't plan to show the forge on Thursday. Here he says in a later stream we should, and it's still to be decided. So there is a strong chance that we might see it in a couple of weeks. This is where you equip loadouts and stuff, which again were confirmed. But looking at some of the replies from Mac Dara and Ben Irving on weapons and loot, it gets quite complicated. Let's go over the easy stuff first before we really deep dive into some of the stuff, especially on abilities and perks. It gets crazy. But on the subject of loot drop and crafting, loot is instanced, so everybody can get it. The question does remain of what gear drops for people, right? Say if you're running a Colossus, hashtag fit guys save lives, you kill this boss and you get like a legendary mortar, and you're like, oh my god, this is great, amazing. But your friend is playing a storm. Does he get a blast seal, for example? Does he get the same bit of gear as you exactly? Or is it decided by what javelin he's running, or just random? A lot of questions left there to be decided, I think. Ben answered this question on the dev stream. Ghost RDR2K, whatever the hell it is, watched the guys open several chests, and he only got weapon parts. Will we get loots like weapons and such from chests and enemies, or a loot drop scripted to certain encounters? Ben says chests and enemies. I think because we used a debug command to level ourselves on those accounts, some of the loot system wasn't working properly. This might be, for example, that you might be a level 1 character, you fly to the highest end where there's loads of high level mobs, you find the chest, you open it, you get a really good weapon out of it. So just getting weapon parts might mean that the game's going, hold on, you can't just get this weapon for free, we're going to give you bits and pieces of some other stuff instead. Who knows? It might be kind of like in World of Warcraft, where if you try and mine or gather herbs from a high profession item, you only really get scraps out of it, right? So it might just be like that in this case. Can support abilities be crafted, or is crafting only for weaponized gear pieces and weapons? Will the stats and properties also be craftable, or will they remain a role-based RNG stats properties? Ben says crafting to be discussed later. But on the subject of relevancy, Mac Dara was asked if there's going to be a point where crafting is going to take a backseat to raiding and dungeons when it comes to gear, like in many other MMO style games. And Mac says it should stay relevant, which is a good sign. I kinda hated that in World of Warcraft, where as a blacksmith you want to make yourself the best gear, but at a point it's just better to do LFG or certain mythic instances. You can't really do it on your own kind of thing. And also because there's no trading, it kind of sucks that you can't mix stuff for other people. Were the Storm/Intercept abilities at max level, or is the potential for said abilities to look even more destructive when fully upgraded? Ben Irving says they were only level 10, so pretty early on. So some of these abilities might look even stronger in a lot of cases. On the Interceptor's target beacon ability, you stating in the stream that it shows you debuff an enemy to 25%. Is this flat across all gear levels, i.e. rare legendary, or does the percentage increase at different levels? Ben says there will be progression to it. Can't remember if it's a percentage increase over time or if it's a duration on a cooldown that we adjusted. Which again shows like the hidden depth in some of these abilities. They're not just a flat out, oh, I used this ability, it does 25% more damage to this target. You have rarities and certain stats and perks that can affect how a piece of gear works. Now let's go on to gear. The first question came from me actually, to Ben. I knew that they weren't going to talk about gear as such yet, but I did want to ask, if you have a helmet slot, for example, on your javelin, is that a power gear slot, i.e. it gives you stats and perks on how strong your javelin is, or just purely a cosmetic slot, i.e. doesn't have any effect on how strong your javelin is, or both? And Ben answers, you need to understand all of the pieces for the answer to make sense, which doesn't really tell us anything, but I think it does highlight one thing in particular, is that this gear system, the abilities, the perks, and stats is a lot more complicated than we may have thought. Leo wanted to know if you can customize your ultimate, for example, high level gear, weapon, or skills that make your ultimate more powerful, last longer, shorter cooldown, have a bigger area range, or something similar to Diablo 3's skill runestones. Ben says it is possible that some gear / weapons could affect your ultimate, not sure if we're doing that for launch or not. On Reddit he said that high tier loot will have extra things on it, and there will be some randomness that we haven't covered yet. There will be a lot more combinations. There can be differences, not only in the item level but also on the other things that are on a piece of gear. We're going to hear a lot more of that later, but it does give you a good idea on how gear and abilities can work there. Will all javelins be able to equip the entire selection of high-end exotic weapons, or are they javelin class specific, seeing as Interceptor, Ranger, Storm can't wield heavy weapons? Ben says there will be some restrictions like the one that you just mentioned. We're still working the rest out, but most people won't be restricted. So if you didn't know, basically Colossus can't use pistols or SMGs, but they are the only ones that can use heavy weapons like the LMGs. Our abilities such as dash, barrel roll, teleport, or the Colossus shield, would there be any ways to add effects or properties stats to them? I.e. the Masterwork dash leaves a temporary flame barrier. Ben does say that they will probably do stuff like have a ranger piece of equipment that when you dash, it will increase the next melee attack, for example, by 50%. It will be in higher end gear. We haven't really been talking about that yet. And lastly, we have the sniper rifle stuff that I wanted to include. Will there be sniper rifles? Ben says yes, there will be. There also will be regular single shot semi-auto rifles like DMRs, but there won't be any bows. So sorry Hanzo, you're not invited to this party at all. Now I want to go over stats, which again provides a lot of very complicated information, and an awful lot of we'll cover this some other time. Outside of weapons, gears, and the pilot skill tree, are there any additional mechanics that affect a javelin's build? Like a gem system or enchanted typical of RPGs, or like a weapon skill tree in Destiny? How much depth is there to build? Ben Irving says yes, we will cover it in a future stream. So there will be more ways to completely customize and equip how strong your javelin is. Iceman wanted to double check to make sure it wasn't just consumables that Ben Irving was talking about here, and he says not just consumables. Doc Starbucks, which is a great name, will the support abilities for each suit also have different rarities and stats? Ben Irving says they will have different rarities and stats. I am also very glad to hear that they will have different rarities and stats. This question is amazing that comes out of draw with Laura. Can we have separate loadouts for a javelin of different stats? Not like abilities, but things like my Interceptor loadout A has higher speed, higher armor, but lower health. My slot B has normal speed, high health, low armor, etc. And Ben Irving says yes, but it applies to all things you can equip. So that just goes to show that we have stats in there like armor, shield, health, speed. Granted, it doesn't affect flight speed, nothing does. But having the ability to equip specific stats, I think is massive in a game like this. Laura also doesn't care about the number of different perks. What she's trying to find out is if you could change armor, health, shields, etc. through separate gear pieces, or if those stats are only pilot level based, or if those stats are included in a list of stat changes for every ability gear piece. He says the answer is yes, which doesn't really answer the question at all when it's A or B. The answer can't be yes. Continued, is there any gear specific to health, armor, speed, or all those stats are part of the ability gear slots? For example, a frost grenade gives ×2 damage, ×2 charges, 25% health, and -10 shields, etc. And Ben Irving says there are things you equip to do that, yes. Still a little bit confusing. I do want to leave it on screen a little bit so you can have a bit more of a read. But like I said, it does show that this gear and equipment system is kind of complex and has a lot of different ways to customize your javelin. I guess none of us realized how much customization we could have going down to minor stats. There is a lot of new information in this video and a lot of stuff to really get your head around, but we still have more to be revealed at a later date. But I do think that this is a good portion of information to at least give us some insight to how gear, abilities and weapons can work. And the reason why this is all key and important is simply because this isn't just as cut and dry as, oh, you get this weapon, you now have it, it's the same as everybody else's weapon that they will have. You have the ability to constantly keep going for gear that has better stats, better perks, constantly going for the best gear that you possibly can. The easiest comparison to make would be with the Diablo gear system and how that works. And when you have difficulties, with each difficulty having better gear, you're always going to have the level of gear constantly rising and rising. I hate in Destiny 2 how there's a light level cap. It's just that you get to light level 600 for now and you have to sort of awkwardly wait there. You can get better gear, sure, but it feels that there's a roof on the game and that's never fun to have. But having the game constantly having difficulties and things that you can aim for to get better and better gear without them being a soft gear cap at all, whether that's going to be an Anthem or not remains to be seen, but it does look like you always have something to aim for with gear progression, and that of course is going to keep people involved in this game. So I do feel like this is a really big area that we've got a glimpse at that could be the difference between Anthem and other games like Destiny and Warframe and how they work with gear and equipment. Not only that, you have abilities, perks, stats, all that stuff. There's so much really cool stuff that might be happening in this game if you look carefully enough. But that's everything that I wanted to go over, some really important integral information that I want to highlight in a really quick fashion. Do let us know what weapons you're hoping to equip, whether you care about sniper rifles in this game, but also what questions do you want answering about the gear, weapons, stats, all that stuff. Let us know that in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.